Now we're with Elizabeth Hopkins. Elizabeth is a immunohematologist. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Immunohematologist.
Yes.
Okay. And she runs this lab, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what her day looks like, and then we're going to talk about how she got from high school to here. So Elizabeth, talk to me about what you do in this lab.
Well, first of all, I'm not actually based in this lab. I work out of another lab in Springfield, Illinois, but I work with the Mississippi Valley Regional Blood Center. I'm the director of our Reference Laboratories, and we have 3 different reference labs, or 3 different immunohematology labs in our system. This lab is up at our headquarters, where they do the majority of our blood testing and processing and everything. But in the immunohematology lab here, they do patient testing, donor testing, and we're looking for red cell antibodies that somebody has produced, and trying to figure out what the problem is going on with our patient, where we can recommend the most appropriate red cell or most appropriate transfusion for our patients.
So the blood that you have, that you're testing, this is not the blood that's coming from donors that's going into a blood bank. Is that right?
We do both.
You do both?
Yes, we do both. We do patient testing for our client hospitals, trying to figure out the best transfusible product for that patient. But then we also sometimes we have donors that come in that they have antibodies as well. And I think that's what Andrea is working on right now, is some donor antibody testing. So she has to figure out what antibodies the donor has, because it's required for us to label that product.
Andrea looks very official over here.
Yes, she does.
So these test tubes, these are tubes of blood.
Right.
And they're being tested.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, and will also red cell antigen type the donors, because we're trying to figure out what the antigen profile is on the donors to be able to give them to the patient for a successful transfusion.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to high school now. You're sitting in high school. What are you studying? What do you want to be when you grow up?
I had no idea.
No idea.
I come from actually a long line of science people, a lot of teachers in my family, honestly. Okay. My dad taught biology and botany at one of our local colleges, and ran the biology club there, so I was always in his prep room looking at all the stuff that he was getting ready for his labs, and I always just kind of had a knack for science. And I have to credit my dad actually for pointing me into this direction, because several times he gave me brochures on the clinical lab science program at the University of Illinois in Springfield, and I was like, whatever, like a college kid, I don't know what I want to do, but I wasn't going to do what my dad wanted me to do.
Right.
What my dad was pointing me into the right direction. But he actually forced me to see a presentation from the head person of the clinical lab science program, and seeing pictures, getting an explanation of what the program is all about. The different clinical lab science or medical laboratory science is not just immunohematology or not just blood banking. There's all sorts of different areas. There's chemistry, urinalysis, hematology, it's your blood cell counts, microbiology, and micro and blood bank were always my favorite.
Okay.
So slowly working the bench at hospitals, I kind of gravitated towards the blood center and getting more focused in blood banking.
So what college degree do you have?
I have a bachelor's degree in clinical laboratory science.
Okay. And do you have any other degrees or certificates?
I have a certification in medical technology. Now it's called medical laboratory science. To be in my position, I was required to do a little bit more study, a little bit more education. And so I did a program called Specialist in Blood Banking. That was done at the University of Texas Medical Branch.
Okay.
And that program helps prepare me to take my Specialist in Blood Banking certification exam.
Okay.
So it's often compared to, having one of these specialist degrees often compared to, or semi-equivalent to, a master's degree.
All right, so last question. If you could give this high school student a piece of advice about succeeding in a career, any career, what would that advice be?
Figure out where you want to go. I don't know, I guess I have lots of different things. Don't be afraid to dabble in different areas of science and everything, and figure out what you want to do. Don't just call science or biology, that's my major. Try to figure out what you want to do with that degree when you get out, because there's so many different things, so many different areas and things that you can do with your degree. So don't just focus on one thing.
All right. Well, wonderful. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
This ends our tour of the Blood Center, and hopefully you've gotten a good sense of it. And we appreciate you joining us today, and good luck in figuring out what you want to do.